Hi friends, this is Professor Vinod D'Souza, Associate Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, AJ Institute of Engineering and Technology, Mangalore. So we were discussing about the topic called as geosynthetics, and in my previous class we have seen what is meant by geosynthetics, what are the different types of geosynthetics, and what are the basic applications where this geosynthetics can be used. So these topics we have discussed. So today we will discuss about the applications of geosynthetics. So let us refresh about the geosynthetics. As we have seen, geosynthetics are synthetic products used to stabilize the terrain. They are generally polymeric products used to solve almost all civil engineering problems nowadays. Various types of geosynthetics are geotextiles, geogrids, geonets, geomembranes, geosynthetic clay liners, geofoam, geocells, and geocomposites. So these are the variety of types available in the form of geosynthetics. The polymeric nature of the products makes them suitable to use in the ground where high level of durabilities are required. They can also be used in exposed conditions. So these products have a wide range of applications and are currently used in many civil, geotechnical, transportation, geoenvironmental, hydraulic and private development applications. So they may be used in roads, airfields, railways, embankments, retaining structures, reservoirs, canals, dams, erosion control, sediment control, landfill liners, landfill covers, mining, agriculture, and aquaculture. These are the variety of applications where we can use the geosynthetics as one of the product which will improve the strength and other properties of the soils. So let us see now in detail how these applications will be done. So as we have seen, the major application of geosynthetics are separation, fluid transmission, reinforcement, filtration, and contaminant and barriers. So these are the five basic applications of geosynthetics, and all others are the subdivisions of these groups, and these five are can be done for various civil engineering applications. Like separations, we can separate two different particles. Fluid transmissions, we can use this geosynthetics to allow the fluid to pass. We can use this geosynthetics as a reinforcement which can be included in the soil so that we can improve the strength of the soil. We can use this as a filtration material for drains, and we can use this as a contaminant and barrier for landfills. So these are the major applications, and in details we will see them one by one. So separation. So as I've told you, separation means it prevents the mixing of two different soils or materials. Okay, sorry. Separation. Separation means it prevents the mixing of two different soils or materials, and for this we are using the geotextiles or geocomposites. When you talk about the reinforcement, okay, so these geosynthetics are used as a reinforcement which provides tensile force in the soil, okay, and for this purpose we are using geogrids and geotextiles. Confinement. So confinement is nothing but it restrains the lateral movement of the soil. So the geocells are best suited for this purpose. The geosynthetics are also used as a filtration, okay, which allows the passage of fluid, preventing the migration of soil particles. And for this purpose, we are using geotextiles and geocomposites. So in case of filtration, only the water or fluid particles are allowed to pass through these geosynthetics. So it prevents the passage of soil particles so that it will not, either the drain or water pipelines, it is not allowing to block them. Okay, that is the purpose of this filtration. So drainage is nothing but it is allowed for transportation of fluids. For this purpose we are using either geonets or geocomposites. So when they are used for drainage purpose, they these geonets or geocomposites, they will not allow the water to flow through them. So they will avoid the drainage water to mix with the groundwaters or with the soil. Hence they will prevent the mixing of this drainage water. Can be used as a barrier or containment. Okay, so it can be used as a fluid barrier or fluid contaminant, so that whenever we are using geomembranes or geocomposites, they will not allow the water to flow from this. So best suited for geo landfills, where it will not allow the leaches to flow through this, and it will not allow the leaches to go and meet with the groundwater table. Hence it will prevent the entry of this drainage water, so that it will prevent the groundwater table from getting mixing with the drainage water. It can be used as a erosion control. Okay, so avoid the detachment and transport of soil particles by rain, runoff and wind. It will do the root anchorage using geomats, geocells, biomats and bionets. So it's also used as a protection. It will avoid damage to the structure or material or another geosynthetic. Okay, so it can be used so that the other particles doesn't damage the existing structure, or existing geosynthetic will not be damaged. For this purpose we are using non-woven geotextiles, geonets or geocomposites. This is a broad applications part and we have seen them in detail. Now let us see one by one. Separation. So separation is nothing but it is the prevention of intermixing of adjacent dissimilar soils or fill material during construction and over a projected service lifetime. Here this prevent the mixing of adjacent soils, maybe fine grained soil with the coarse grained soil, or coarse aggregates with the soil. So it doesn't allow them to mix, so that the purpose will be solved. So they are provided at the soil subgrade level in pavements or railway tracks to prevent the pumping of soil fines into the granular subbase course, and prevents intrusion of granular particles into the soil subgrade. You can see this diagram where it is clearly shown. These in the first diagram it is shown that because of the loading of the road, there are chances that this soft soil which is there at the bottom is going and mixing with the granular fill. Hence the required cushioning effect we won't get in case of roads or railways. So in order to avoid that, geosynthetic layer is provided between the soft soil and granular fill, so that it keeps them separate, doesn't allow them to mix. So this is called as the separation. So here the basic mechanism involved in the separator function is, one is granular fill. Here soft soil system without the geosynthetic separator. Okay, we have to remember this: granular fill where soft soil system without the geosynthetic separator, and granular fill soft soil system with the geosynthetic separator. Okay, two diagrams have seen what will happen if he doesn't provide the geosynthetic separator and if we provide the geosynthetic separator. So this is the mechanism involved in the process called as separation. These separation, the field application of geosynthetics as separators, commonly adopted in unpaved roads. They are also adopted in paved roads. They are adopted in railways, and they are adopted to protect the geomembranes. So these are the various field applications of separations. So in unpaved roads, so use of geosynthetics for unpaved roads are a well established and a most common application of geosynthetics. Although here the main function is it is used as a separator, but the secondary function of reinforcement and filtration also essential. Okay, so all these applications are required in case of unpaved. It has to be used as a separator, it has to be used as a reinforcement, and it has to be used as a filtration material. So providing the geosynthetic sheet between a granular subbase and a weak subgrade helps to stabilize an unpaved road in a number of ways. Okay, and they are: it provides the local reinforcement. Okay, it acts as a reinforcement where local low weak subgrade, he can improve the strength of this weak subgrade, so that is nothing but reinforcement. So it restrains the aggregates from downward and lateral movement in the ruts. Okay, so this is one of the important applications. It doesn't allow the aggregates to move downward into the weak subgrades, and also it doesn't allow the aggregates to move laterally in the ruts. It restrains the subgrade soil from upward and lateral movement between the ruts. So whatever soil is there as a subgrade, it doesn't allow the subgrade to move upward and mix with the aggregates. It acts as a support membrane. Okay, it is giving a support to the road so that the road is not going to be damaged or failure. It provides sufficient friction to limit the lateral sliding of aggregates. Okay, it gives the friction to the aggregates so that there won't be lateral sliding of the aggregates. So most of the actions explained belongs to reinforcement category, showing the essential nature of the secondary role. As I have told you, first the role is separator, then comes reinforcement and filtration. So in the absence of geosynthetics, mixing up of the granular subbase of soft mud from the underlying soil would rapidly reduce its strength to that of the soft mud alone. Thus, a geosynthetic sheet placed beneath the granular subbase can greatly reduce maintenance, enable better compaction during construction, and reduce the thickness of aggregate layer. So this is the additional advantage of providing the geosynthetics. So it will reduce the maintenance cost of the road. It will enables a better compaction during the construction, and it will reduce the thickness of the aggregate layer, because aggregate layer will not be mixed with the soft soil, so it will be separated from the soft soil, hence you require a smaller thickness of aggregates. So problematic subgrade soils are highly compressible soils such as peat or saturated soft to medium clays. So in peat, the problem is mainly settlements, and in clays, development of high pore water pressure due to vehicular movements, and all this can be avoided by providing the geosynthetics in case of unpaved roads. So while discussing the separation for paved roads, here rutting type of deflections of the surface is unacceptable in case of paved roads. So in this case, geosynthetics can be provided at three different locations in a permanent road, that is at the interface between the aggregates, subbase and the subgrade soil, within the pavement structure, or with a surface overlay. So here in case of paved roads, we can use the geosynthetics in three different positions. One is as a separator from aggregates to subbase and subgrade soil. Then we can provide them within the pavement structure itself, and also we can provide with the surface overlay. So here in the first application, geosynthetics acts in a similar way as that of unpaved roads. Okay, whatever applications we have seen in case of unpaved roads as a separator, same applications are allowed here. So the benefits are, it prevents the pavement subbase aggregates from penetrating into the subgrade soil. This is acts as a separator. Second one is, it prevents the fine soil particles from the subgrade soil entering into the subbase aggregates. So here prevents the soil particles to enter into the subbase aggregates. It is also an application as a separator. It reduces the need of excavation for soft, fine subgrade soils. Okay, we don't have to excavate much to give a good foundation, so it reduces the excavation. It speeds the placement of subbase aggregates during construction. It reduces rutting of the subbase aggregates while it's being used as a haul road. Haul means we can use when by using as a pulling of goods. So that time it reduces the rutting of the subbase aggregates. Evens out settlement of the subbase aggregates over any pockets or soft material that may have been overlooked. So these are the applications of this in case of paved roads. We can see this diagram here. It shows how we can place the geosynthetics. One is, we can use them as a separator. Okay, we can use inside the pavements. Okay, and we can use here, you can see here below the pavements as a geosynthetics. So these are all applications of geosynthetics in case of paved roads. The application of geosynthetics in railways are, so it can be used as a ballast resting on a clay subgrade causes erosion pumping failure due to dynamic load. Okay, so the ballast which is resting on a clay subgrade, you can see here the ballast resting on a clay subgrade, so it causes erosion pumping failure due to dynamic load, because we have seen that while the train moving there will be vibrations, so dynamic load will be caused, and because of that pumping failures occurs. So this is one of the application. Here you can provide the geosynthetic between the two layers so that it doesn't allow the aggregates to mix with the soil. Another type of pumping failure may be caused by the contamination of the ballast by the dirty ballast pumping failure. So these two pumping failures could be prevented by providing a sand blanket. Okay, we can provide a sand blanket so that this pumping failures can be prevented. Otherwise the soft soil along with the water, it comes out and mixes with the ballast, and the ballast will not be able to perform its cushioning action. Okay, so the third mode of track support failure is a bearing capacity failure of the subgrade. So generally this occurs in cohesive soils because of increase of pore water pressure. Increase of pore water pressure, there are chances that the bearing capacity of the soil will be reduced, hence the subgrade going to fail. A bearing capacity failure could be avoided by providing a geosynthetic film sandwiched in the middle of the sand filter layer. You see here geomembranes can be used here in between the soils so that there won't be the failures will occur. The following figures shows three alternative ways of incorporating geosynthetics within the track bed so that they may act as a filter. So here the applications is using the geosynthetic as a filtration material. For such use of geosynthetics should have higher puncture resistance and strength, and also should be capable of dissipating the excess pore water pressure when we use it as a filtration material. So we should have sufficient puncture resistance, there should not be any tearing or puncture, and it should have sufficient strength, and also it should be capable of dissipating the excess pore water pressure. Otherwise the excess development of pore water may cause liquefaction failures. So this has to be dealt seriously. We can see here In first figure, full ballast replacement, whereas in case of second, we can see a sand blanket provided so that there won't be a mixture, and here third, partial ballast replacement, okay, with the geosynthetic. So these are the applications you can see in case of. In another situation, use of a geosynthetics in conjunction with fine granular material could reduce the thickness of filter layers. So this can occur when a track runs along the side of the retaining wall with shallow foundations. So here this figure explains how this geosynthetics can be used. Use of geosynthetic filter to reduce the total thickness. Also this figure here explains okay, so geosynthetic separator and drain filter in a railway ballast application. You can see here the geosynthetic is used as a drain filter. Here also it is used as a drain filter so that it doesn't allow the water to mix up with the ballast. So these are applications with the geosynthetics. Geosynthetics are also used in railway track surface water drainage systems. In such situations, the application of geosynthetics is similar to that of highway drains. We can provide the geosynthetics to cover the drain so that it doesn't this water doesn't allow, it doesn't go and mix with the soil. So that is the application of railways. So protection of geomembranes. So geomembranes are used in connection with the open areas of water, such as in canals or dam linings, or alternatively containing pollutants such as around industrial waste storages. Okay, so for all these places like open areas of water in canals or in dams as a linings or in industrial waste storages, okay, so all these places geomembranes are used. So in this, while using these geomembranes, so they have to resist tensile forces, puncture and wear from the objects. Okay, lot of forces will be there, lot of pressures will be there, and due to this lot of tensile forces will acting, and these geomembranes has to resist these tensile forces. Also they have to be strong so that they won't tear or they won't puncture and the wear of the from the objects. So now it is established practice to use geotextiles to protect this geo from membranes from the hazards. So when we use this geomembranes, so we have to use a layer of geotextile above that so that it can act as a protective layer for these geomembranes, and it will protect these geomembranes from these forces. Okay, you can see the figure here how this will work. Okay, the subgrades then over this wearing course will be there, and due to the loadings there are chances that the geomembranes are going to puncture, and that's why this is the geomembranes what you have provided. So one layer of geotextile is provided between the geomembranes and the aggregates so that this geomembranes directly will not come in contact with that, so that they will resist all the forces. Okay, this is also one of the applications of geotextiles. They are used in the roads or railways. The second application of geosynthetics is as a geofiltration and fluid transmission. Geosynthetics can be used in filtration and drainage systems in a similar way as that of soil filters and drains. So geosynthetics may function as a filter that allows for adequate fluid flow with limited migration of soil particles across its plane over a projected service lifetime. Okay, when it is used as a filter, so it will not allow the soil particles to flow across its planes. Okay, that is the purpose called as filtration and fluid transmission. Okay, it allows only the fluid to pass through the geosynthetics. When a geosynthetic filter is placed adjacent to the base soil or the soil which has to be filtered, a discontinuity arises between the original soil structure and the structure of geosynthetics. Okay, there will be a discontinuous of flow of soil particles. Okay, so only it allows the water to pass. Okay, this discontinuity allows some soil particles, particularly the particles closest to the geosynthetic filter and having diameter small than the particle opening size. Okay, so here, so whenever the particles which are larger than the opening size, they will be prevented and only the water is allowed to flow through this openings. So geosynthetic filtration occurs in fabrics where water flow brings some of the fine particles of the soil being protected into the structure of the geosynthetics itself. This soil modification above the fabric and void modification within the fabric attains the equilibrium. Clear water passes through that only after the attainment of equilibrium. Okay, I will discuss this with a graph in the coming slides, where one point the equilibrium will be achieved, and based on after that equilibrium point only the water will flow through the openings of the geosynthetics. Geosynthetic drainage occurs either cross plane when the above described process have reached the equilibrium, or in plane when water is transmitted within the geosynthetic nature structure itself. The effectiveness of these functions are ascertained by a long-term geosynthetic flow test. So various tests have to be done, and based on these tests we can find out the effectiveness of these methods. We can see here how it will act as a filter in case of soil mediums. You can see the natural soil at one side, and we can see how it is the geosynthetics used as a preventive, so that water flows in the direction, in this direction. Okay, water flows in this direction and only the water will flow. Natural soil is prevented from flowing through it. This figure also demonstrates how the geosynthetic or geotextile used as a filtration medium. Okay, where you can see only that it will allow the seepage or water to flow through the openings, whereas it will not allow the soil particles, okay, to flow through this filters. So here this figure shows the application of geosynthetics as a filtration medium in highways and railroad under drains. Okay, you can see here this figure clearly indicates. Okay, this is a drain which is used normally in highways or railways, and this drain is given a filter medium, that is the stone ballast is provided. Okay, and in between the protected pipe there will be a pipe, okay, which has pores on its surface. Through this pores the water enters through this pipe, and then the water is carried to a particular place. So now between the pipe and the stone ballast, a layer of geotextile is provided, so that only the water will flow inside the pipe. The soil particles will not go inside the pipe. If the soil particles enter the pipe, there are chances of clogging or blocking the pipe. So in order to avoid that, the geosynthetics are used as a filtration medium. This figure shows the application field and agriculture wrapped drain pipe. So here also in the trenches the pipe is wrapped with the geotextile, so that it carries only the water, whereas it is not allowed the soil particles to enter the pipe. You can see here in this sketch it's shown dissipating pore water pressure and allowing for drainage. Okay, so here you can see this there is a pavement, and below that the stone ballast are provided, and below the stone ballast to separate the subgrade, a layer of geotextile is provided so that only the water will go through this area and it doesn't allow the soil particles to move. Okay, there is also one of the application of geotextiles. So in this sketch, it shows how it is eliminating pumping in railroads, and last sketch shows providing drainage behind the walls. If there is a retaining wall, there are chances that the water puts a pressure, and because of this water the soil will be saturated, and this saturated soil put a pressure on the retaining wall. So if you provide a layer of geotextile between the wall and soil, so it will act as a filtering medium, and when the water flows through the drains, okay, that's how the pressure will be reduced. So when we're talking about the drainage, if a geosynthetics if a geosynthetic allows for adequate fluid flow with limited migration of soil particles within its plane from surrounding soil mass to various outlets. You can see a retaining wall. Okay, clear figure shows when there is a retaining wall, when the geosynthetic is provided, there will be a water flow in the water flows in the direction, and this water can be collected or be allowed to flow through the weep hole so that there won't be any excess pressure on the retaining wall. Okay, the two functions are distinguished as given below. Geosynthetic filtration occurs in fibers where water flow brings some of the finer particles of the soil being protected into the structure of the geosynthetic itself. This is one of the function, and then clear water passes through it only after the attainment of equilibrium. As I said earlier, okay, equilibrium is reached, and then only the water flows through this geosynthetics. So here we have explained it. So in this illustration, the final portion of the curve is a critical one. You can see this curve here. This curve indicates various parts. Here the curve is graph is drawn for flow rate versus time in logarithm scale. You can see the two lines separated. Okay, here you can see this is a predominant mechanism, that is a compacting filter cake binding is called as, and here this mechanism, that is arching clogging. Yeah. The slope is given by m1 mi and the slope is given by mf. Okay, the principle is explained here. When slope mf reaches to 0, it signifies that equilibrium has been established within the soil and the geosynthetics. Okay, when the slope of the second line mf reaches 0, it signifies that equilibrium has been established within the soil and geosynthetics. On the other hand, if slope mf continues to decrease, the geosynthetics or upstream soil is probably clogging and ultimately result in a complete cut-off flow of water. Okay. At low temperatures, very small ice crystals form in a soil water and viscosity also increases. Okay. So under the influence of these factors, the capillary rise can be high. So this is the nature of the graph, and it shows that the equilibrium, when it reaches the equilibrium condition, then only the flow starts taking place through the geosynthetics. These geosynthetics are also used as a barriers, that is, a geosynthetic performs the fluid barrier function if it acts like an almost impermeable membrane to prevent the migration of liquids or gases over a projected surface lifetime. You can see here there is a canal here, okay, which carries the water or liquid waste, and since it is waste, that waste should not come in contact with the natural soil or the water which is there below the soil. If it comes into contact with the natural soil, the properties of the soil will be lost. Okay, soil doesn't will lose its properties, so that the soil cannot be used for any other functions. That's why a layer of geosynthetics is used along the surface of the canal, so that there won't be any contact of this waste and soil. That's how we can prevent the soil from losing its properties. Okay, this is called as geosynthetics used as a barriers. So next important application of geosynthetics is called as reinforcement. Synthetic polymers with high strength for use as reinforcement materials are available. Okay, so some of the polymers which are having high strength are available, and they can be used as reinforcement materials. They are mainly made of polymers, polyamide, polyethylene or polypropylene. Okay, these are the properties which already we have discussed. So these geosynthetics are made up of these materials. The materials used for the soil reinforcement generally have high ultraviolet degradation and corrosion resistance. Okay, this is important properties required while the geomembranes or geosynthetics are used as a reinforcements. Okay, they should have high UV degradation, ultraviolet degradation, and corrosion resistance. Okay, they should not corrode when they are used as a reinforcement medium inside the soil. The strain behavior of these polymers are time dependent. That is, the creep of these products are significant. Okay, that means as the time proceeds, okay, they behave very well. That's called as time dependent. The reinforcement materials requirement depends on the loading condition and the lifetime of the structure. Okay, so whatever material we are going to adopt, we have to adopt it based on the loading conditions, how much load is going to occur on these type of soils, and also the lifetime of the structure. Okay, so based on that we have to choose the particular geosynthetics. The design must include the required reinforcement strength and strength required in relation to the time. Okay, these two factors are required in the design of this materials. So these the three main areas where geosynthetic soil reinforcement may be applied are: one is for foundation, one is for slopes and embankments, and one is for retaining walls. Okay, so strengthen the foundation, we can use this geosynthetics. To strengthen the slopes or embankments also we can use, and also to strengthen the retaining walls we can use this geosynthetics. Okay, that is the purpose of reinforcement. So let us start discussion about the foundations for footings. How these geosynthetics are added below the footings. So this reinforced soil foundation bed is a soil foundation containing horizontally embedded geosynthetics or thin flat strips, ties or grids. Normally below the foundation we are adopting either horizontally embedded geosynthetics, or we are adding thin flat strips or ties or grids as a reinforcement. Introduction of a layer of reinforced soil between a footing and weak subsoil can increase the bearing capacity substantially, thus obviating the necessity of combined footing or raft foundation. Sometimes because of the loose soil, we have to design the foundations as combined or raft, okay, again which will increase the cost. So in order to avoid that, we can provide a layer of geosynthetics, that is reinforcement, below the weak soil, above the weak soil and the strong soil, so that we can avoid the design as a combined or raft foundation. Since geosynthetics are considered to be non-biodegradable and are quite cost effective, they are used in the form of geotextiles, geogrids or geocells. Okay, they are non-biodegradable and they are cheap, hence they can be successfully used below the footings. So while using the materials below the footings, the possible mode of failure for reinforcement soil for a footing are: first one is shear failure of soil, above the uppermost layer of the reinforcement. Uppermost layer of the reinforcement, there are chances that the soil is going to fail because of shear failures. The mode of failure is possible if the depth of the uppermost layer of reinforcement is sufficiently large. Okay. So you can see here how the reinforcement is provided. The strips are provided so that to avoid the shear failure of soil. So second type of failure is called as reinforcement pull-out failure. So this type of failure occurs for the reinforcement placed at shallow depth beneath the footing with insufficient anchorage. So if the reinforcement is provided very near to the surface, so there won't be much anchorage for the reinforcement, hence there are chances that the pull-out failure is going to occur. The strips may come out because of the because of improper anchorage. That's why sufficiently deeper depths the geosynthetic has to be provided. And then reinforcement tension failure. Okay, reinforcement tension failure. So this type of failure occurs in the case of long and shallow reinforcement for which the frictional pull-out resistance is more than the tensile strength. If the tensile pull-off resistance is more than the tensile strength, the reinforcement tension failure is going to occur. Another mode of failure due to long-term settlement under sustained surface loads, okay, also called as creep, and subsequent stress relaxation. Okay. There is also one of the type of failures below the footings. Ideal pattern of reinforcement for footing should be in accordance with the direction of principal tensile strain. So in order to satisfy this condition, the reinforcement should lie along the lines starting with horizontal reinforcement below the footing and becoming progressively more vertical at some distance away on either sides. So it is impractical to provide a continuous system of reinforcement. So that's why we have to take precautions while adopting the systems below the foundations. So next is foundations of embankments. It is often difficult to obtain the desired factor of safety when constructing an embankment over a weak or soft soils. When we construct the embankments over a weak or soft soils, sometimes it is difficult to attain the desired factor of safety. So in general, four types of failure modes can be identified for embankments built on soft soils, and they are: one is internal stability, second one is overall stability, third is foundation stability, and fourth one is bearing capacity failures. So all the in these diagrams, all these four are shown: internal stability, overall stability, then foundation stability, and bearing capacity failures. All this shown. Normally, the slope of embankment is chosen in such a way that the internal stability of the embankment is assured, assuming that the bearing capacity of the subsoil itself is sufficient to carry the load of the fill and prevent the fill pressing through into the subsoil. Generally, the bearing capacity of the subsoil will be adequate to carry the load of the embankment. In case of inadequacy, the embankment has to be constructed in stages so as to prevent loss of overall stability. Every stage of construction has to be taken up only after ascertaining the soil already in place has been improved to the extent necessary. Alternatively, the subsoil may be consolidated by adopting appropriate soil improvement techniques before taking up the embankment constructions. Okay. So in order to obtain the full benefit of geosynthetics, tensile strength, it is important that the construction sequence has to be planned such that tension on geosynthetics is applied gently. Okay, when we place the geosynthetics below the embankments, you will see that tension will be applied slowly. Okay, it is not as a sudden. There can be no tensile force mobilized in the geosynthetics unless it is subjected to strain. The geosynthetic sheet should not slake or fold it beneath the embankment after construction. The following construction sequence is recommended in order to avoid such problems. The procedure for providing the geosynthetics below the embankment is shown here. First is place the geosynthetics, then place the fill at the embankment edges. Okay, the embankment filling should be started from the edges. Once the sheet is laid, we have to start filling from the edges, then fold over the geosynthetic ends, then place more fill at the embankment edges, place fill in the central region, then raise the height of the embankment edges and complete embankment construction. So these steps have to be followed so that there won't be any damage to the geosynthetics or there won't be any folding of geosynthetics in the embankments. So these steps are shown here in a diagram. Yes, step by steps they have shown. You can see this. First it is shown that place the fill in embankment edges, then after first place the geosynthetics, then place the fill in the embankment edges, then fold over the geosynthetic edges, okay, so that fill will remain inside this, then place the fill in the central region and raise the heights of the embankment in edges. Okay, that's how you have to prepare the embankments. So when we talk about the steep faced embankments, again these steep faced embankments can be prepared by using this geosynthetic so that we can save a lot of area on the ground. So on restricted sites, it can be advantageous to reinforce the face of the embankments. Okay, when we provide the reinforcement on the face of the embankments, so we can prevent it from failure due to slopes. This helps to reduce the area of land required and also the volume of fill. Okay, if we design a steep faced embankments, we can save a lot of area and also we can save the amount of soil to be filled. The presence of reinforcement at the face of the embankment allows the use of less expensive materials. Because of high stress concentration, steep face embankments are not recommended over the sites. So in case of non-availability of cohesive fill, geotextile grids may be employed with cohesive or cohesive soils, non-cohesive soils, as the soil to be reinforced bond for a grid does not rely solely upon the surface friction. In such cases, the construction should be rigid and adequately drainage provisions should be made. In order to get the best performance of reinforced embankment slopes, careful thought must be given to the surface finish. Without the aid of a facing, effective embankment cannot be constructed. The most widely used method of restraining the face material is a wrap around method. Okay, so this is shown with the diagram here. You can see here how the sheets are provided and how the fill is filled and how they are protected on the sides. The protection of sides is very important. Okay, that's why our sides reinforced materials is provided here. This is called as wrap around the facing method. So this geosynthetics are also used as a erosion control material. They are also used for the erosion control. A geosynthetic provide surface stabilization where it is placed on a soil surface to restrict the movement and prevent dispersion of surface soil particles subjected to erosion action of rain and wind, often while allowing or promoting the growth of vegetation. Geosynthetics provide vegetative reinforcement and controls the erosion of soil. You can see this figure how it is provided here. You can see the existing soil, and above that fine filter, coarse filter, underlayer also provided. Okay, so this is shown also here. Okay, how the geotextile filter is provided, geotextile filter is provided. Okay, so that it prevents the sloping erosion. Also here it is shown how the vegetation is grown over a geomat, and at this side here it is showed biodegradable geotextiles are used, and above that you can see how the vegetation has grown, so that after certain time these geotextiles will degrade inside the soil and only the vegetation will be there, so that this vegetation will prevent the erosions. These geosynthetics are also used as a protection barriers. A geosynthetics placed between two materials performs the protection function when it elevates or distributes stresses and strains transmitted to the material to be protected against damage. You can see here the geotextiles are provided between the road and aggregates, so that it acts as a protection members. Different applications are shown here. It acts as a separation, filtration, reinforcement, protection, used as a waterproofing, drainage, and erosion control. So these are the few of the applications of geosynthetics. Thank you.